In the first two parts of our journey, we explored what would happen in the days, centuries, and even millions of years after humans vanished. We saw nature reclaim our cities and monuments crumble to dust. But in this final chapter, we're going even deeper. We're venturing into the extreme future of a world where humanity is a forgotten memory. A future shaped not by us, but by the raw power of evolution, nature, and deep time. What happens when the biggest force on the planet suddenly disappears? Without humans, the rules of the animal kingdom are rewritten. Evolution, freed from our influence, accelerates dramatically. Animals no longer need to hide from our cities, our cars, or our noise. They spread out, they adapt, and they compete. Over thousands of years, this pressure forges new superspecies. Imagine birds, no longer just small creatures in the trees, but growing larger, their brains becoming more complex. Flocks of highly intelligent avians, coordinating their hunts with a precision that rivals a pack of wolves. In the oceans, with no fishing fleets to fear, apex marine hunters become faster, larger, and more aggressive. Sharks and whales evolve into even more efficient predators, creating a new, more intense balance of power beneath the waves. On land, mammals develop new and surprising forms of communication. Perhaps some species evolve intricate vocal calls that convey complex ideas, while others might develop visual signals or even biochemical languages. A new natural order emerges, one where survival is the only law, and the planet's toughest, smartest, and most adaptable creatures rise to the top. The world becomes a crucible of evolution, constantly testing and perfecting life in a way it hasn't since before our ancestors first stood upright. While new species are rising, the planet itself is in constant motion. The Earth is a living, breathing entity, and its geological clock ticks on, regardless of who is watching. Continents, riding on tectonic plates, continue their slow, inevitable drift. Over millions of years, landmasses that were once separate begin to crunch together, while others tear apart. Seas rise and fall, swallowing coastlines and creating new inland oceans. The climate, too, enters its own grand cycles. Ice ages come and go. Massive glaciers advance from the poles, grinding landscapes down to bedrock, and then retreat, leaving behind new lakes, rivers, and fertile plains. Every one of these planetary shifts acts as a filter for life. The species that survive are the ones that can adapt to a world in constant flux. Without human-made dams and levees, rivers are free to carve their own paths, creating vast new canyons and deltas. Forests, no longer contained by agriculture or cities, migrate with the changing climate, following the patterns of rainfall and temperature. Even the great deserts of the world are not static. They shift, expand, and contract, their sands burying old landscapes and revealing new ones. The Earth is constantly rewriting itself, creating a world that is wilder, more dynamic, and utterly unrecognizable from the one we know today. This leads to one of the most fascinating questions of all. Without humans, would another intelligent species rise to take our place? The scientific consensus is a resounding yes. It's entirely possible. The evolutionary niche for a creature with high intelligence, problem-solving skills, and the ability to manipulate its environment would be wide open. And there are several promising candidates waiting in the wings. First, consider the corvids, the family of birds that includes crows, ravens, and jays. These birds are already astonishingly smart, with cognitive abilities comparable to a young human child. They use tools, solve complex puzzles, remember faces, and even seem to plan for the future. With a few million years of evolution, could their intelligence blossom into something much more? Then, deep in the ocean, we have the octopus. These creatures are masters of camouflage, escape artists, and possess a level of intelligence that is completely alien to our own. Their main limitation is their short lifespan. If evolution favored a longer-lived, more social octopus, they could potentially develop a sophisticated, non-humanoid form of intelligence and culture in the ocean's depths. And of course, we can't forget our closest relatives, other primates. Chimpanzees, bonobos, and gorillas already share so much of our DNA and cognitive framework. Given millions of years to evolve without human competition, it's not a stretch to imagine one of these lineages taking a similar path to our own, eventually developing language, tools, and a complex society. Any one of these, or perhaps a species we can't even imagine yet, could become Earth's next thinking, self-aware creature. As we look even further into the future, the scale of change becomes almost unimaginable. We're now talking about tens, even hundreds of millions of years. On this timescale, continents don't just drift, they collide. Imagine South America crashing into Asia, or Australia merging with Antarctica. These colossal collisions would push up new mountain ranges, dwarfing the Himalayas. Old oceans, like the Atlantic, might close up entirely, while new ones are born in their place. The planet's climate cycles become more extreme. Long periods of intense cold, known as snowball Earth events, could encase the entire planet in ice for millions of years, only to be followed by equally long hothouse periods with no ice at all. Earth would enter relentless cycles of destruction and rebirth. Each cycle is a great filter, wiping out entire ecosystems, but also creating opportunities for new forms of life to emerge from the ashes. And with every one of these epic planetary transformations, another layer of humanity's forgotten legacy is ground into dust and erased from the geological record forever. So, when does our story truly end? When does the last piece of evidence that we ever existed finally disappear? We have to go to the deepest, most protected traces of our civilization. Even after millions of years, some things might linger, but eventually, time wins. The collapsed tunnels of our subways, buried deep underground, will finally be crushed by geological pressure or completely filled with sediment, their shapes lost. Underground bunkers and seed vaults, our final time capsules, will be breached, flooded, and eroded until they are just mineral deposits in a layer of rock. What about our technology? The silicon in our microchips and the refined metals in our electronics will slowly, but surely break down, dissolving back into the elements from which they were forged. The satellites we flung into orbit, our silent sentinels, will eventually have their orbits decay. They will fall back to Earth, burning up in the atmosphere and shattering into a cloud of unrecognizable dust that settles across the planet. After hundreds of millions of years, the Earth becomes a clean slate. Our entire history, our towering cities, our incredible technology, our art, our music, our literature, all of it vanishes so completely that not even a geologist from a future intelligent species could find a single definitive trace that we were ever here. So, what does this journey into the deep future teach us? It shows us that the Earth doesn't need humans to survive. Life is resilient, powerful, and will always find a way to continue, to evolve, and to thrive. But it also highlights what is lost. Humans give the Earth something unique: consciousness, creativity, meaning, art, and dreams. Without us, the universe continues, life goes on, but the story of the world becomes a silent one. The cosmic song continues, but the voice that asks why is gone. This has been an incredible journey through time, but what if it isn't the end? What if, after millions of years of absence, humanity returned to this strange new Earth? What would they find? If you'd like to see a part for exploring the return of humans, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the unknown.